Now that affirmative action's gone, Republicans are now going after minority scholarships. Robin Vos, who's a speaker of the Wisconsin State Assembly, promised that they'd be relooking in the fall at different programs that have scholarships, grants, and programs. But look at who's going to be targeted: Black Americans, American Indians, Hispanic individuals, and people from Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. The Supreme Court's decision didn't just repeal affirmative action. It's now made it so Republicans will go after any type of diversity in higher education.
What's up, family? We got a major reality check for anybody still holding on to the idea that the government's going to use tax dollars to set up race-based handouts. The Wisconsin Supreme Court just came down anonymously, and I mean anonymously, family, all of them, and shut down a taxpayer-funded scholarship program that was explicitly set up to exclude white people from getting that money. Shocking, right? Now, this ain't some small local story that's going to disappear in the news cycle. This is a direct hit on the entire race-based remedies movement. Courts across this country are starting to realize what the Constitution actually says, and they are enforcing it. And we're breaking down exactly why these programs keep getting struck down, what that means for the broader conversation around fairness in the law, and most importantly, what this tells us about where this country is headed. Let me show you exactly what happened and why this matters to every single person in this country. With no further ado, family, let's check this out.
Wisconsin Supreme Court ends a taxpayer-funded race-based scholarship and rules unanimously the program is unconstitutional after the U.S. Supreme Court ruled against race-based admissions. Political reporter Jason Calvi joins us now from the newsroom with what that means. Jason.
Hey, Brian, for now, it means that this particular Wisconsin scholarship is no more. That could mean a hole for hundreds of Wisconsin students who get this money. The law firm that challenged it says it's going to go after other taxpayer-funded race-based programs.
In the 1980s, Wisconsin law set up the taxpayer-funded Minority Undergraduate Retention Grant for Wisconsin students who are Black, Native American, Hispanic, or descended from Laos, Vietnam, or Cambodia. Provides a max grant of $2,500 per academic year for a total of 8 semesters. It's for students who finished their first year of college and are attending either a Wisconsin technical college or a private college or university. It helped State Senator Dora Drake graduate from Marquette.
I grew up in the 53223 zip code in Milwaukee, and I was a first-generation student. And for me and my family, they valued education, but my parents were working hard and did a lot to take care of my siblings, just for me to even get an opportunity.
Conservative law firm, the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, sued to challenge the scholarship.
It says that people who are certain races can't get the money because of the color of their skin. That's the definition of racism.
The state's Higher Education Aids Board said the grant fixes a, quote, crisis in minorities not finishing school and helps with compelling interests of diversity and equal educational opportunity. On Thursday, the Wisconsin Supreme Court unanimously agreed the program was unconstitutional.
Frankly, I'm pissed, honestly, because tomorrow we're about to celebrate Juneteenth. And it's a day where we celebrate our freedoms to address what we have overcome. And yet we continue to pull back so many programs that have established opportunities for equity.
This scholarship and all scholarships should be available to all students, regardless of their race, and students who need help should get help.
The Wisconsin Supreme Court rules the program violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. It follows the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard.
Liberal Justice Jill Karofsky wrote that the U.S. Supreme Court ruling means they were obligated, and she criticizes that higher court's ruling, saying, in short, the court ruled that it is racist to remedy racism. The Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty says it plans to challenge other taxpayer-funded race-based scholarships and programs, and Senator Drake tells me she plans to propose a bill to bring back the grants, focusing it on income and zip codes, not on race.
So there you have it. So here's what we're looking at. We're having a conversation now, family. Back in the 1980s, Wisconsin set up what they called the Minority Undergraduate Retention Grant. Sounds nice and innocent, right? But here's what it actually was. A taxpayer-funded scholarship program that was explicitly designed to exclude white students. The program gave money to Black students, Native Americans, Hispanic students, and students descended from Laos or Vietnam or Cambodia. And we're talking about up to $2,500 per year for 8 semesters total. That's real money. That's money that could help somebody finish their education. And the whole time that money came from taxpayers, everybody's taxes. Black taxpayers, white taxpayers, Hispanic taxpayers, all of them paying into a system where certain people couldn't even apply because of the color of their skin. Now, the law firm, as you guys heard, called the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty decided to challenge this thing in court. The argument was simple. If you are excluding people from a taxpayer funded opportunity based purely on their race, that's the definition of discrimination. Doesn't it sound familiar? Why did you think, family, the suspicions, let alone the sense of ambiguity or question, went to play when it came to Minnesota with the Somali fraud? Before that came out, that it was actual fraud when it came to the Somali daycares in Minnesota. Because if it's a taxpayer funded program, it should be open to all individuals. So why individuals were only opening it up to only individuals that were Somali, and on top of it, you couldn't even tour a business that is getting taxpayer money that should be open to all taxpayers. It's the same thing that's happening here, and this is the base in the whole thing of the argument that the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty is making, right? Because it will be prone for discrimination, like I used for my example with the Somali fraud. But what happened was they were basically defending the fraud in the name of only letting certain people within that fraud that they were familiar with and accepted inside of their circle into their fraud ring so they won't get exposed in secrecy. So that's why, but it can be looked at as discriminatory in the same sentence, because you're not even opening up to letting individuals, all taxpayers, no matter the race, to tour this daycare, and nobody's seen no kids. And even if you didn't want kids for the safety of kids, you could have scheduled a tour with individuals for another time, which is why you see YouTuber journalists like Nick Shirley went out to expose the fraud, who played a critical role in that with the Somali fraud with Tim Watts over there, the governor Tim Watts in Minnesota. But getting back to this point, that's the definition of racism. The definition of racism is if you are excluding people from a taxpayer-funded opportunity based purely on their race, that's the definition of discrimination and definition of racism. They took it all the way, family. The Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled unanimously that this program violates the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. Every single justice agreed. No dissent, no, well, maybe arguments. They said this is unconstitutional, period. Now think about what that really means for a second. If you are a white taxpayer in Wisconsin, your money is being taken and funded a program you literally cannot access because of your race. And the government is telling you that's legal. That's equal protection? No. That's the exact opposite of equal protection. That's government-sponsored discrimination using your own money to exclude you. And this ruling didn't come out of nowhere either. It follows directly from the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on affirmative action, where they already established that race-based admissions to colleges are unconstitutional. The dominoes are falling, family, one after another. These programs are getting struck down because they violate the same fundamental principle. You can't use race as a sorting mechanism in government programs. You just can't. The Constitution doesn't allow it. Now, here's where people get emotional instead of legal about this. So when this ruling came down, you know what happened? As you guys seen, Senator Dora Drake, who actually benefited from this scholarship herself to get through Marquette, she stood up and said she was furious. This woman right here that I put on the screen, she was furious about it. And her argument was all about emotion, not law. She said, and I quote, "Tomorrow we're about to celebrate Juneteenth, and it's a day where we celebrate our freedoms and address what we have overcome. Yet we continue to pull back so many programs that have established opportunities for equity." That's the argument, family. The question is, who is the we? That's what they lead with, not a constitutional argument, not a legal argument, an emotional one timed around Juneteenth, like the calendar matters more than the law. And that's the pattern you see a lot. From the left, every single time of these programs get struck down, they don't fight on the Constitution, they fight on feelings. They say things like, these programs help minorities finish school, so striking them down hurts opportunity. It sounds good, it sounds compassionate, and that can be a great thing. This can be a great thing, but don't exclude anybody. That's all I'm saying. But it makes you feel like you're helping people who need help based on these programs help minorities finish school, so they're striking them down hurts opportunity. It makes you feel like you're helping people, but here's the thing: the Constitution doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care about your good intentions. It cares about one thing: equal treatment under the law. You can help, but you don't exclude race or any specific race from it. That's it. That's the whole foundation of this. It would have been beautiful if anyone can apply. It's taxpayer funded. So the 14th Amendment says that no state shall deny any person equal protection under the law. Not some people, not people of certain races, any person, everybody. Now, let me break this down in a way that makes the hypocrisy crystal clear. If Wisconsin came out tomorrow and said, we're setting up a taxpayer funded scholarship for white students only, no black students, no Hispanic students, no one else, what would happen? The entire country would lose its mind. Every news channel would be calling it racist. Every politician would be condemning it. Protesters would be in the streets. And you know what? They'll be absolutely right. That would be racist. That would be unconstitutional. It would violate the 14th Amendment. So why does the same logic not apply when you flip it around? Why is it okay to exclude white students but not okay to exclude black students? It's just all not okay. It's just all divisive. It's not okay. It can't be okay in both directions. Equal means equal. You can't have it both ways, but the state tried a different argument. They said these scholarships are necessary because there's a quote unquote crisis and minorities not finishing school. They called it a compelling interest, quote unquote, to fix that problem. We all go through things in life. How many times, family, and let me know in the comments if you may have anticipated something to go one way and you had adversity going through it, and that you didn't anticipate and it went another way, but you still strive to achieve. That's like saying, oh, well, this certain race, which is basically saying in plain English, this race goes through more problems of not finishing school than this race. No, we all go through things. So why you can't just help all people? We all go through things in life. And I get it. If people are struggling, that's my whole point. If people are struggling to finish school, that's a real issue. But here's where the logic falls apart. You cannot use race-based discrimination to solve social problems. You just can't. The Constitution doesn't allow it. If minorities are disproportionately struggling to finish school, that's something to address, absolutely. But the Constitution says you have to address it in a way that treats people equally. You can't pick winners and losers based on race. And here's the deeper problem with this whole thing. These programs operate on an assumption that minorities can't succeed without special government treatment. You can take it that further in regards to this conversation as well. That can be very insulting. That's insulting. That's the opposite of what people should want for any community. When you set up a system that says, we don't think you can make it on your own, so we're giving you a racial bonus, you're not helping people. You're telling them they need the government to sort them to sort them in a special category to have a shot. That's not opportunity. That's patronizing. That's treating people like they can't compete without a handicap. And this is where the bigger constitutional principle comes in. Listen, this is the part that people advocating for reparations don't want to hear. Courts across this country have ruled consistently over and over again that race-based remedies are unconstitutional. That's not a new thing. That's been happening for years. Every single legal attempt to create race-based remedies keeps getting struck down for the exact same reason: equal protection. It violates the Constitution. And now that the dominoes start falling with affirmative action getting killed at the Supreme Court level, we're watching the whole house collapse. Affirmative action is gone. Race-based scholarships are gone. And the law firms challenging these programs already said they're coming after every other taxpayer-funded race-based program on the books. The pattern is clear. The next one is next, and the one after that is after that. So let me give you the real solution that actually works and doesn't violate anybody's rights. If the argument is that minorities are disproportionately poor and struggling to access education, then you target low-income communities, period. You don't need race in that equation at all. You set up income-based scholarships, you target zip codes with higher poverty rates, you look at what actually needs the help based on their financial situation. And guess what? What happens? Black students benefits, Hispanic students benefits, white students benefits, Asian, doesn't matter rate. Everybody who's actually struggling gets help. That's beautiful. That's not controversial. That solves the actual problem without breaking the Constitution. But they don't. But they won't do it because for them it's not really about helping the poor people. Because if it was, that's just an easy, simple solution. It could be so simple. Life is already complex. Can we just be simple, family? If it was, they'll be thrilled with income-based solutions, but they're not. They insist on the race component because the race component is what matters to them. It comes off like that's the real agenda. And here's the contradiction they refuse to acknowledge. They say race-based programs are absolutely necessary for minorities to succeed, but if their argument is true, their own argument is true, if minorities are disproportionately poor, then poverty-based programs catch them anyway without any race language. You don't need both. In fact, if minorities are disproportionately poor like they claim, then income-based targeting will naturally help more minorities than it helps anybody else. But they'll rather fight for a race-specific language than accept a solution that actually solves the problem for everybody equally. That tells you what this really is about. It's about maintaining the ability to sort people by race through government programs. That's it. And now that's over. For 50, 60 years, Black people has had access to race-based remedies. That was state-sponsored preference, family. Call it what it is. They got a booster seat for 6 decades. They had advantages built into the system specifically because of that race. And now that's going away. Now everybody competes on the same field, same playing field. Now you can't get picked because of your race. You got picked because of what you can do. You got picked because of your grades, your test scores, your income level, your potential. That's the new reality. And the courts are making it clear that's the legal reality going forward. This is what the end of race-based remedies actually looks like when it hits the ground. And let me be clear about what this actually means. Here's the bottom line, family. The Constitution doesn't allow the government to take your tax dollars and set up programs that exclude you from opportunities because of your race. That's not legal. That's not constitutional. That's not happening anymore. Equal protection means equal. Not equal except for these groups. Not equal except when it benefits certain people. It means equal. The real path forward is merit-based scholarships combined with income-based support. That's all I grew up on and actually knew. Right? Help people who actually need it without sorting anybody by race. That's the answer. And I'm going to leave you with something bigger than the law. It's something spiritual. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you wouldn't accept being locked out of an opportunity because of your race, you cannot build a system that locks other people out because of theirs. That's the principle. Now hit the like button, comment, tell me where you stand on this, share the video, subscribe to the channel of this breakdown, help you understand what's really happening, turn on the post notifications, and family, let the love supersede the hate. Spread that peace, love, and positivity. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.